Hello and welcome to Filling the Sink, a podcast from Catalan News. My name's Beth Cohen, and today we'll be talking about one of life's most universal roles, motherhood. Maternity is often idealised, but what does it actually mean to be a mum in modern-day Catalonia? In this week's podcast, we hear from women from all walks of life as they share their stories about the joys, pressures and complexities of modern-day motherhood. Joining me in the studio today is Leah Beliaiva. Hello, Leah.
Hi, Beth.
So, Leah, becoming a mother is hugely important and it's a life-changing experience. However, fewer and fewer women in Catalonia are actually choosing to take the step. Do you have any statistics on this?
Yeah, so Catalonia recorded a little over 54,000 births in 2023, which is actually the lowest number in 70 years. And it's not just a Catalan issue. In fact, according to the UN, birth rates have been declining steadily everywhere on the globe since the 1960s. And Spain also has the lowest fertility rate in the EU. That is the average number of children born per woman. And Catalonia is even slightly below the Spanish average.
Mm-hmm. And economic considerations might be behind this, as according to a report by Save the Children, the cost of raising a child in Catalonia is the most expensive in Spain, averaging at, wait for it, €938 per month per child.
Yeah, and the financial crisis of 2008 also played a role in falling fertility rates. In Catalonia, people were having increasingly more children in the 10 years before the financial crisis. But when it hit, the numbers started dropping, and it hasn't recovered since.
And yet, despite the adverse circumstances, when people really want to become parents, they're prepared to overcome the obstacles. That was the case for Elena. Let's hear her story.
I remember I always wanted to be a mother. Even when I was a teenager, I was dreaming to be pregnant for some reason. I had dreams about this and so on. But I guess being a lesbian in Belarus and then in Poland 20 years ago, I couldn't see any chance for this. So only when we moved to Spain, I felt that urge was so strong that I thought I will go crazy if I will not try at least.
This is Elena. She's originally from Belarus, and she lived with her now wife in Poland before they moved first to Mallorca and then to Barcelona. Before becoming a mother, she questioned if it was the right decision.
I felt confident that I, as a lesbian, can be a mother. Another thing was stopping me from this, that our world nowadays, with all the issues going on, that it's so selfish of me to desire to have a child, to bring to this awful world a child, an innocent child. It took me maybe a year of discussions with different friends and thinking about all this. If I have a right to let myself to have a baby.
Part of Elena's process was also to come to terms with the fact that her daughter would have two moms instead of the typical family of a mother and a father.
I spoke to people who was my friends, and I learned that every single story is very, very unique. And I also learned that if child is fully happy in a family, loved, cared for, and so on, it's enough. We are enough. This is thing yes, I had to feel that we are enough.
Before 2008, the average age of a first-time mother in Catalonia was under 31. But ever since the 2008 financial crisis, the age has steadily gone up to almost 33 years old in 2023. But Elena says she doesn't regret one bit waiting to be 38 to have her daughter.
I'm happy because I know myself better. I was, I think, way more prepared because I know life better. I'm less stressed about many things. I trusted also myself more because I knew myself more, I think. So I was not upset that I cannot go out or I cannot, do this or that. I was fully mentally prepared for this.
Diana was someone who also waited until she was 40 before becoming a mother. She explains that she had always imagined her life with kids, but never met a partner to have them with. At 39, she froze her eggs to take the pressure off and continued dating.
But I noticed that I'm searching more for a father for my kids and not really for a partner. And then I realized that I actually am looking to be a mom and not be in a relationship necessarily. And then I decided that I would do it by myself. And that if there is meant to be a person later for me, it will come after I have a kid.
In 2020, more than 11% of all households in Catalonia were single mothers, a figure that slowly increases every year, and it just shows how different family structures are becoming increasingly common. And Diana says that far from feeling stigmatized for being a single mom, most people she meets express support and admiration.
The first reaction is actually, oh wow, that's so courageous. And at first I was like, yeah. And now I think like, yes, it is very courageous to become a single mom because it's very demanding. Honestly, I think it's not for everyone because it's quite demanding.
While for some it's courageous, for most it's transformative in one way or another. Mariana is a grandmother who forms part of a non-traditional family in Barcelona, helping her trans son to raise her grandchild. Growing up in Chile before becoming a mother, Mariana explains that she was always envious of her brothers and how they were allowed to do things that she wasn't. But when she became a mother, something changed inside her.
Yo quería ser hombre, me vestía de hombre, quería ser hombre.
I dressed like a man and wanted to be one until I became a mother. And when I became one, I said, to hell with all these men because they don't understand what it's like to go through this. I was so happy with my body and I was amazed by nature. It changed the way I see the world. It made me fall even more in love with the sunset, the wind. So for me, becoming a mother meant delighting in nature, the beautiful energy of the world, and falling in love with these tiny creatures who have personality of their own.
For Àngels, a recent mother from Lleida, becoming a mother was also transformative, although to her, the word transformation falls short of what it feels like for her, which she describes as dying and being born again.
And I think I was not aware of the meaning of these words until I had my baby. And really, I felt like kind of dying and then being reborn in a person that, okay, it's me, but I don't recognize myself anymore. I think it's very powerful and it scares me somehow, but also it's a new opportunity. And the challenge, I think, is the people remembers you as you were, but you're not that person anymore.
As well as putting your own needs on the back burner, the challenges of motherhood involve balancing responsibilities and emotional demands, all whilst navigating the pressures of modern life, work and relationships. And self-care can sometimes get lost in the equation.
Exactly. And Diana says that she realized after becoming a mother that it's really important to nurture yourself.
And I think this is what I learned, that really I need to prioritize my health a lot so that I'm healthy. Because, the worst is for single parents, I think, when they're sick and they still need to care for their child.
For Lily, a Catalan mother of twins, the biggest challenge of being a mother is the responsibility.
El repte més gran de ser mare és, jo crec, acompanyar deixant espai.
I think the biggest challenge of being a mother is to support our children, to give them space and not be intrusive, to teach them respect, kindness and freedom, and that all bodies and humans are sacred, that the world is diverse, because in the end, we are helping another human to be, and that's not a small thing. As parents, that's a sacred but immense responsibility.
Es el miedo o el equivocarte, ¿no?
The worst thing is the fear of getting it wrong, and I think that I got many things wrong with my son, which hurt me. It's part of life, but your decisions can scar another person forever, and that's a really big responsibility, especially as a mother.
Mariana expresses concern for the children. However, the emotional health of mothers is also very vulnerable during pregnancy and childbirth.
Yes, Isabel was very excited about becoming a mother 14 years ago, but she explains how a complicated birth and postpartum, where she didn't feel she got the attention and information she needed, left her feeling forgotten.
És allò que potser ho tens una mica idealitzat, però en realitat jo anava una mica aviam.
Maybe it's one of those things that you idealize, but I did go into it with thinking, okay, let's see what happens. The first clash was with a very paternalistic girl. I wasn't given all the necessary information to make informed and conscious decisions. And that makes your head spin a bit. And during pregnancy, you feel so well supported, but then the baby is born, all the focus goes toward it, and the mother fades away into the background.
I totes aquelles emocions.
I had all these emotions and feelings of discomfort and I couldn't explain what I felt, and I was a psychologist. And you feel like a bad mother because you feel bad because this is supposed to be the best time of your life.
Angels also explains feeling guilty when she was pregnant because she wasn't feeling well emotionally. It was only after going to a consciousness festival that she realised her feelings were shared by other women, and it was important to find a community to discuss and normalise what she was going through.
And so for the first time in my life after getting pregnant, I think I didn't feel weird about my feelings or what I was going through. I could embrace those feelings. Just to give a name, I heard for the first time the word matrescencia.
Matrescencia, or matrescence in English, is a term used to describe the transformation that maternity entails. It's a huge life change, and by law, mothers are given paid leave from work to be able to recover from childbirth, care for the newborn baby, and adapt to their new circumstances. Leah, what are the current maternity leave allowances in Catalonia?
So currently parents in Spain, they have the right to 16 weeks or 4 months of parental leave each. The first 6 weeks are mandatory and must be taken immediately after the birth by the birth mother. And the remaining 10 weeks can be taken week for week within the first year of the birth, the adoption, or the fostering process.
And do you think that's enough time?
Well, no. And personally, I think the baby is too young and it needs you physically, it needs you emotionally. And if you're the person who has given birth, the physical recovery can sometimes take a really long time. And also, it's just really hard for you as a mother to be away from your baby. And one could argue that the Spanish government agrees because it did propose a bill to increase parental leave to 20 weeks, but it hasn't gone through Congress yet. It's expected, though, to pass in late 2025 or early 2026, so we'll just have to see what happens. And the final thing is that parental leave in Spain is 100% paid, but it actually also depends on your situation. If you're self-employed, for example, then it's a different story.
Oh my, we could do a whole separate podcast on the rights of the self-employed.
Yes, we could. And many women are quote-unquote lucky to work for companies that offer a better deal, which means that here in Catalonia and in Spain, people usually accumulate maternity leave and vacation days, breastfeeding leave, if they are provided by the employer. And this was the case for Diana.
I mean, in Spain it's 4 months, which I think it's very little, to be honest. And also what I really hope will change in the future is that if you're a single parent, you only get those 4 months and not, like if there are two parents, they both get like parental leave, which in my case was not. I was lucky that the company I work for gives to all the employees 2 months more, so they pay 6 months. And then I took my holidays and took 1 month unpaid leave to be longer with my baby because I think they're really little and they really need support.
In 2024, the OECD warned that fertility rates have declined by half in OECD countries over the past 60 years. They recommend different policy tools to incentivise people to have more children, such as affordable housing, family policies that help reconcile work and family life, and coherence with other public policies that promote access to quality jobs and career progression for women.
Yes, and those are great policy recommendations. And while there are many private or associative initiatives or mother groups offered by the public health providers, they're not always mandated by law.
Fa falta, ens diuen que baixa la natalitat.
They say that birth rates are going down, but there is no real help for those who want to become parents.
Llançar l'aventura de ser mares o pares, no?
All the mothers we talked to mentioned how important it's been for them to find a community and a support network in their daily lives.
De totes maneres, sí que vull dir, jo defenso que els grups de mares...
I think mothers and parenting groups are very important tools to prevent emotional problems, to build a community, to share ideas, and to learn together. Today's society tells us that we have to raise our children alone and that we can do it because our parents did it. But what they don't tell you is that our parents also felt alone, and maybe they also had a community back then. It just wasn't called that. It could be a mother, a grandmother, or an aunt who would help a bit. Nowadays, we live in an individualistic society where we think we should do everything on our own, but asking for help is the first step towards going through motherhood with a bit more calm.
Many mothers are lucky to have the support of their families close by, but this isn't always the case. In fact, foreign residents in Catalonia account for almost 25% of the population, and one of these international couples is Angels and her partner.
So being an international couple, none of us is from Barcelona, so my family is closer, let's say, but it's already 2 hours from here, which is not, you need something and in 5 minutes you have your parents here. And of course, my partner's parents are not here, so they are in France, and it's sometimes very lonely. So I think something that motherhood, or let's say for both of us parenting, have make us realize is how important is your tribe.
Most mothers agree that taking care of children is extremely hard work, and in the case of special needs children, the physical and emotional burden can be even greater.
Maria is the mother of a 16-year-old child with an 81% registered disability who recently moved into an assisted housing residence. She is part of the Sindicat de Mares en la Diversitat Funcional, an association of mothers of disabled children.
Aquestes maternitats que no s'acaben.
These are motherhoods that never end, because our children have special needs that require constant care. It is very intense. We feel suffocated, exhausted, and we often get sick.
Maria explains that joining the association helped her a lot personally.
Per mi ha estat un canvi personal.
For me, it has created a fundamental change, from feeling alone, very overwhelmed and tired, to finding out that this happens to all of us, and that it is not fair. It's not just that I plan my time badly. No. All the mothers who have children with disabilities show similar signs of exhaustion, and being able to come together and share experiences has made me very happy and reinvigorated me.
Lily is the mother of twins, one of whom is trans. She joined Angel, the Association of Families Against Gender Intolerance, through which she met other families in a similar situation and found support and guidance.
Vam contactar amb ells en un moment que era especialment dur.
We got in touch with them at a difficult moment. Although we've been very lucky with our family and loved ones, our daughter began experiencing significant episodes of bullying at school for being trans, and we could see that we needed help and community. And in the association, we have found a space where we can share and express our fears and doubts, and create a community, because honestly, how many people do you know who have a trans child? Very few. It's very important not to feel alone as a family. While we talk and listen, the children meet each other and get to know other kids in a similar situation. It seems trivial, getting children to play together, but it is something immense, because they are no longer pointed out or targeted. They are just another child who wants to play and is understood and loved for the way they are.
Although some support infrastructures are now in place and women are more aware of the existence of and need for these, there's still a long way to go.
Comença a haver una mica més de consciència de que es pot demanar ajuda.
People are starting to be aware that you can ask for help, that you don't have to cope on your own. There is much more talk, for example, about obstetric violence, although we still lack legislation, and much remains to be done. Sometimes women tell me stories and I'm stunned that these types of things are still happening in 2025.
In a perfect world, Isabel says, there should be perinatal psychologists at all public health centers. The role of midwives should be much more significant than it is now. New mothers should get more support when it comes to breastfeeding and raising their children, and parental leave should be much longer and more flexible than it currently is.
Això jo crec que són els mínims.
I think those are the minimum requirements.
According to Mariana, a lot has changed since she became a mother in terms of access to information and research on everything from diet to how to prevent sudden infant death syndrome to the importance of the first skin-to-skin contact when the baby is born. But at the same time, something else has been lost, she says.
Pero también pienso que se ha perdido.
A negative change is that the concept of raising children as a group has been lost. For me, it's very important, that sense of group identity. My children played outside on the streets with the other kids, with the neighbors.
According to Maria, things are slowly changing, although, among other things, we need to change the way we look at people with disabilities.
Un altre canvi important que crec que hem d'empènyer entre tots.
Another important change that I think we must push for is the recognition that social resources for people with disabilities are not a waste of money. They are as useful and productive as investment in health and education, which generates and returns collective wealth. They are key to the dignity of dependent people, both our children and also the elderly. Allocating resources for the dignity and care of all members of society not only generates jobs but also promotes democracy. So as we are fighting for a dignified life for our children, we're also addressing a collective issue, the right for everyone to live with more dignity.
Similarly, and as a mother to a trans daughter, Lily is worried about the rise in anti-trans speech and hate, as well as the large quantity of disinformation, particularly online, that only breeds hate.
La gent que s'agafa, no? El que deia d'aquesta radicalitat.
There are people with radical views who oppose supporting the trans collective with taxpayers' money, as though the dignity of a child should be debated according to the public budget. A welfare state is based on taking care of each other. It implies solidarity, understanding, and a mutual trust.
Despite all of the hardships, women do still choose to become mothers, which, to be honest, is a really good job for the human race, otherwise we'd all be extinct. Leah, what are some of the positive aspects?
I actually asked all the mothers what the best thing about being a mother is, and this is what some of them said.
La millor part de ser mare...
For me, the best part of being a mother are the children. The unconditional love, seeing them grow up, listening to their laughter, keeping them company, everything.
I think this type of love that everybody talks about, the unconditional love, I think it's a thing. And for me, getting this love from my baby and giving this love to her and just looking at her, and it's just something inexplicable, and it's really a wonderful thing that I'm glad that I'm able to experience.
Oh, of course, it sounds like kind of a cliche, maybe, but this love, really, that nothing matters more than your child, than your baby, and also how she makes me just live in the present, not and when I'm going too fast, she's kind of reminding me, "Hey, Mom, I'm here. Just slow down. We're not in a rush."
También, bueno, con eso de ser trans.
With my son being trans, I've learned a lot. When you're a parent, you learn with your children, it changes your mentality, and I think it's done me good.
And what about you, Leah? What have been the biggest challenges and the most positive aspects about becoming a mother for you?
Wow. So for me, the challenging part has been the change of becoming a mother and being confronted with what I'd say is kind of a hostile world where we're not aware of each other. I can't tell you how many times people wouldn't hold the door for me when I've been with a stroller. And there's one situation that I don't think I'll ever forget when the baby was still just a couple of months old. It was crying and I was feeding them standing up on the moving metro car. And some people looked at me as if I was bothering them instead of asking if I wanted a seat. And that whole situation made me feel really vulnerable. And then, of course, there are these times where I feel like the system, which is supposed to help you, is actually working against you or kind of punishing you for becoming a mother. And those things have made me really sad, but also actually very angry. But I'm trying to channel this anger into change. And as for the best parts of being a mother, it's just watching this tiny person discover the world in such a pure and beautiful way.
Oh. Well, that's almost all we have time for today. But before we go, it's time for our Catalan phrase of the week. Leo, what do we have?
This week we have de mare només n'hi ha una.
There is only one mother. Now, this is a really traditional expression for emphasizing the irreplaceable role of a mother, but it's pretty inaccurate these days.
I would say so. It kind of overlooks adoptive families, LGBTQI families, and other non-traditional families where children have more than one mother.
Or no mother at all.
Exactly.
This week on Filling the Sink, we've been talking about motherhood. Thank you to everyone who spoke with us. And of course, thank you to Leah for joining me here in the studio.
Thanks to you.
That's all we have time for today. Thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe to Filling the Sink wherever you get your podcasts if you haven't done so already. We'll be back again next Saturday with another exciting episode of Filling the Sink. On behalf of all the team here at Catalan News, I'm Beth Cohen, wishing you a great weekend. Fins aviat. Adeu.